My name is Haramandeep Singh, and today is December 15th, 2013.
How old were you in 1984?
I was 16 at that time.
And what was your occupation at that time?
I was a student in high school.
Okay, where were you in June 1984?
I was in Chicago, Illinois, suburbs of Chicago, Illinois.
Okay, how did you hear about the June 1984 attack on the Bar Sahib?
I mean, I heard of it through the community. My parents were very involved in the Sikh community in the Gurdwara. And then on top of that, we heard through the media, the news. This is how we were made aware of what was happening.
Okay, so what was your reaction?
Well, my reaction as a youth growing up in the West was actually quite strong. I mean, I felt like I was violated. I felt I was violated as a person, and then definitely as the community. So it was a very strong reaction. It was a very it was a reaction that actually helped propagate me to get a better understanding of myself and my faith and my heritage in a large way.
Where were you in November 1984?
Same place. I was in high school in suburbs of Chicago, Illinois.
Okay. And how and when did you hear about the November violence?
Same sort of thing, through the community in the Gurdwara and through the media, TD.
Okay, what did you basically hear? Like, do you have any sources like newspapers or anything? You remember that you read something in the newspaper or you heard the BBC radios, or what were the things you were hearing? Like, what kind of...
About June and November?
June and November, like
Yeah.
any...
Well, mainly you would hear that, that the Indian government has surrounded the Bar Sahib in June of 1984 to try to weed out terrorists that have taken refuge there. And that was the recurring theme that we would hear. I also remember seeing a documentary that was done on 60 Minutes where they actually interviewed Sant Jarnail Singh Bhindranwale. And then, but the recurrent theme was that, and then, in November I remember reading newspapers and seeing that, Indira Gandhi's Sikh bodyguards, have killed her, and as a result, the Hindu community is seeking revenge. So that's the sort of theme that we would hear.
So, do you know anyone or any of your family member that was who became the target of any of these violences in '84?
In Delhi, there was no one that became a target, but we had family members living in Delhi that had to seek refuge, that had to seek protection.
Okay.
And
do you want to share any of that story, or do you, in particular?
well, I know my Chachaji, who lived, I think, close to Tilaknagar at that time. He was quite concerned, and he went into, and his family went into hiding into a neighbor's house for some while. Yeah.
Okay. So, have you spoken about these violence to anyone since 1984?
Spoken meaning?
To the community, to your family, do you discuss it?
Spoken about it a million times. I mean, it was actually a major, like I said, fundamental a point in my life, in my family's life. In fact, I remember at that point, my family at that point, we gave up celebrating Christmas. We started focusing more on Sikhi and learning our Punjabi heritage. And 2 years later, I actually went to Punjab. I remember going there as an 18-year-old, and at that time there was still curfew, and there was a lot of checkpoints and being checked all the time wherever we traveled. And for me, actually, that was a great time to just, again, I learned to, time at the Star, and I was going into college. And, the conversations kept going on and on and on to the point where I can keep rambling if you want, basically, to the point where, we started doing retreats with Sikh children around the United States into learning our heritage, into Sikhi. And that actually culminated into a project where, so we started becoming more and more involved with other Sikhs that were also engaged in or had ties back to Punjab, and had strong feelings about cessation or separation from the state. My dad actually started working a lot with different Khalistani organizations, and led to the point where we actually decided to do create an organization that would work in Punjab, and so we actually spent time in Punjab working, and this is all. Much of this was built upon what happened in '84 and the Sikh struggle, and actually we started spending a lot of time with human rights activists. We spent time with Jaspal Singh Dhillon. He came here. We spent a lot of time with him. We heard a lot of stories about the human rights violations taking place. So it was a huge, huge impetus for us to start moving as a community and doing things.
So, last question. Why, in your opinion, did all this happen in 1984?
That's a loaded question. I mean, I think, why this happened. Partly it has to do with, I think, the changes that have taken place in the community over the years, right? As a community, we lost our sense of who we were, and we became more and more entrenched into the societies around us. And as a result, we started adopting those ways. And then, as a result of doing that, and as a result of the politics around that, we can look back to when India became separate. Right at that point, we were also offered that opportunity, and for whatever political reasons, that didn't take place. But we were promised certain things; those rights weren't granted. Then we started speaking up against that, and slowly, it funneled into where the state really thought of us as a significant movement and community, and the state decided to take action on that.
Thank you.